with Cherian Kuruvila on his very own channel, YouTube channel, and a very important topic, the power of mindset. So, as we start, I would like to open this session with a statement: the inner game drives your outer growth. And none better than me to ask these questions because I've seen this happen through the coaching that happened. So, to set things in clear, we would have two videos, one for the corporate leaders and two for the entrepreneurs. So, this one is for the entrepreneurs in conversation with CK. Once again, thank you so much for hosting on your channel, CK. It's a pleasure to have a conversation. I'm sure there's a lot of takeaways the entrepreneurs would have from this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So let's start with the basics, right? Defining mindset, because in the end, it all comes down to that. What is a mindset? Let's define mindset all over again.
I think a difficult question actually, but mindset to me is all about how we start each day, how we wake up in the morning, and what do we set our minds to. What is the thing that's holding us back? What are the things that we're dreaming of? How positive are we? How negative are we? How influenced are we by others? So the mind is a clutter. Mind is a clutter full of hundreds of thoughts, thousands of thoughts at any point of time. And the best minds are the ones that are fairly uncluttered, very simple. And the person behind that mind is able to sort of control the mind rather than the mind controlling them, right? They are able to control the mind, right? And I think I've always had this very favorite quote on my WhatsApp, which is "My mind is my best friend," right? And moment we say "my mind is my best friend," which means you got the mind in your control, right? You are not going to give the power to the mind to influence you to think differently, to think insecurely, to think negatively about somebody, even handle very difficult situations in a very calm manner, right? So I think mindset is what makes or breaks each day of us, right? If you're going to be sleeping with a troubled mind, you're going to wake up with a troubled mind, right? If you're going to be thinking of problems all the time, you're going to be manifesting more problems. So if you're going to be thinking positively that come what may, no, I'll figure it out, right? I'll take this challenge head on. That's a very different kind of a mindset. So I'm not getting into the technicalities of mindset. There's so much written and published on YouTube on mindset that you can be a full details of that can be available. But simplistically, I think mindset is about keeping things simple, keeping things clear, keeping things under your control. Right? I think that would be a very simplistic answer to what is mindset.
My one favorite statement of yours, which you said that you choose your mindset every single morning, just like how you choose what to wear. I think that was one powerful statement that literally got me thinking. So I'm sure, with hours and hours sitting with entrepreneurs, mentoring them, these are some lines that I really would like to share. I'll fix it once we scale. I can't afford to fail. I have to do it all. These are very common, very common. I would say 99.9% entrepreneurs, whatever stage they are in, I've seen this and I've heard it from them. So, something similar. What are the common mindset traps entrepreneurs fall into? Apart from these, or a little bit more on this. Over to you.
Yeah, so I've been working now with entrepreneurs for the last 15 years, right, as a mentor and as a coach. So I've seen quite a few of them across different, like you said, different stages of their journey, startup to early stage to growth phase to slowdown phase to acquiring phase. So at each stage they go through different challenges. But I think the mindset of most entrepreneurs, I can't generalize it, but start off on a very, very positive note, start with a lot of positive intention, start off with a great vision. And then when they start actually building the team and trying to manage the team and then find the disconnect between what they want to do and what the team is not able to do or not doing, right? I think that's when the mindset starts getting into a frustrated mode, right? Then the need to, I need to control everything. I need to get involved in every decision. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to manage shareholders. I need to manage my investors. I need to manage my team. Sometimes it gets way too overwhelming, right? Overwhelming. And most entrepreneurs end up taking most of the pressure onto themselves. Most of the pressure onto themselves. So they believe that the organization cannot grow without them, right? And I think that's a mindset that actually is it's a counterproductive mindset. Because
Correct.
as long as the entrepreneurs believe that without them things are not going to happen, it's not going to change. So I think that really is the thing, that the tendency to micromanage, the tendency to want to control, the tendency to take every decision, the tendency not to trust team members, the tendency to trust some old timers but not the new timers, right? The tendency to give preference to an old timer versus the new professional who's joined, right? Uh, those play out very unconsciously, right? Play out very unconsciously. Or if it's a family business, there will always be preference given to a family member compared to a professional who might be much better in the job than the family member, right? But that makes the whole working culture very difficult, right? Makes it very difficult to get the whole team to buy into the vision of the organization, right? And they end up hiring people, training people, losing people, hiring, training, losing. And in the process, the business starts getting impacted, which again puts the pressure back on the entrepreneur, right? So talking about mindset, when I also coaching many of these entrepreneurs, right? The important thing is to make
Correct.
them aware that more often than not, they are the bottleneck.
Absolutely.
They are the bottleneck to growth, not their team, right? If the team is not growing, it's because they're not letting the team to grow.
Correct.
They're not empowering the team to grow. They're not trusting the team to grow. They're not letting them make the mistakes. They're only pulling them up, right?
Correct.
So when I do coaching for entrepreneurs, particularly, many of the coaching goals are around their leadership behaviors, the leadership styles, uh, more delegating, more involving the team members in a larger forum, better communication, more transparent and clear communication. Right? So communication, delegating, empowering, uh, getting the team members to start thinking long term for the company and not just short term for today and tomorrow and this month. Right. But these are mindset challenges that many entrepreneurs struggle with. And unlike a corporate environment where every leader has got a leader they report to, somebody is even more senior, right? Who is there to guide them, right? For the entrepreneur, the buck stops with them. The buck stops. They don't have a sounding board mostly. They don't have somebody who will challenge them. They don't have somebody that they can share their problems with. So they end up absorbing all that pressure themselves. And I
Correct.
think that approach eventually leads to a lot of firefighting. That approach leads to a lot of stress. And that approach finally leads to, it getting played out in terms of the way they deal with that team.
Absolutely.
I remember doing a talk with one of the entrepreneur groups where the topic of my discussion was distress to de-stress. Right? And that was particularly meant for entrepreneurs because being in a distress mode is a mindset, right? Being in a de-stressed mode is also a mindset. But to get from that stage to the next stage, it requires a lot of readjustment in the way they manage themselves.
Perfect. Very well put, and very much so, especially in family businesses and traditional businesses, the expectations of performance is so high that, it just completely goes all over the board when it comes
Yeah.
to these kind of pitfalls, right? Traps, as we say. Now, one thing that really changed for me in your coaching and, in this journey is that I moved from being reactive to reflective. So, my next question is, mindset shifts that you have seen as changes in leaders as you were, you were in this journey of growth with them through coaching? So please do share some of those examples.
On reaction versus reflective,
Not
reactive
just
versus
reacting.
reflective.
That was one of this big change that I saw in me, right? I was absolutely that reactive person in decision making, but now as this coaching and the journey came, I'm more reflective. That's one of the change. I know there are 10 other things that I can start speaking, but I would want you to address
Yeah.
a few changes that you've seen as a mindset shift that you've seen with your coaches.
Yeah. So what I spoke earlier about uh, the tendency not to empower the team,
Yeah.
the tendency to not uh, be able to manage uh, slightly more strong professionals, right? And I think that was a challenge quite often when a company has to grow, they have to bring in external people. They have to bring in external professionals, right, who come from the industry or come from a lot of experience, right? They cannot be managed the way somebody else has been managed, who's been in the company for the last few years and got used to the cultural way of working, right? Moment somebody joins from an MNC or joins from a large, more structured corporate organization into a very disorganized entrepreneur environment, right? They find that's a mismatch. And within 3 months, both the entrepreneur and the employee are both dissatisfied with each other. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that is one big switch. That look, moment we're talking about mentoring or coaching, we're talking about moving it from an entrepreneur way of working to a more structured professional way of working. Right. In fact, the change is required more by the entrepreneur because they are the ones who've been working in an unstructured way. Right. So one big change is to make them see the value of bringing a structure into the madness. Right? There's a very clear plan, there's a very clear structure, there's a very clear departmental review, there are very clear formats, there are very clear, you know, uh, analytics which are looked at, your data that is looked at. And they start seeing that by doing that, they get much better feel of what's really happening in the business. And the people who are presenting it as department heads also get the feeling that, look, now they are being heard because they're able to share their business in a professional way and the owner is able to understand and add value or give them the decisions that are required. So I think that is one big change that happens, right? Adapting their style to manage the new professionals that are required for the growth of the organization. The other one I think is about this whole concept of you know not getting involved in every small decision. I had this one example of a MD running a manufacturing company who used to go to his factory 6 times a week. Till I asked him, "Are you the MD of the company? Or are you the production head?" Right? I think that's when it really hit him. That I said, if you're the production head, you need to be in the factory every day. If the MD, why do you need to be in the factory? Why don't you have somebody who takes charge of production and you just oversee it and you just support it? Right? Initially, it was tough for him. Right? But finally, when they actually hired a general manager to head the production and supply chain, right, it made a huge difference. Today, the organization is 6 times the size of what it was then. And today, he goes only once a week to the factory. So the organization has grown 5, 6 times. Its frequency of visits to the factory has come down 5, 6 times. Right. So that was a clear example of really understanding that, look, I don't need to get involved in every small decision. I need to let go. I need to empower. So I think letting go is a typical challenge for most entrepreneurs. They don't want to let go. They want every small decision to be involved. And I think that doesn't help. So that is another area which I think they have really had to change their leadership behaviors, leadership style, and also trusting people. Trusting people that, okay, I've hired the right people. Now I need to let them be.
The other thing, in fact, on the same topic, the second thing that really helped me, and I'm going to take a little bit more deeper conversation with you on this because in the mindset change, this played a key role, right? And though I was known in the whole ecosystem as a confident, hashtag alpha female, that self doubt, which was so buried inside me And with each layer, each session started showing up its face to me, slowly changed into self worth. I want you to double click on this, CK, because I know that entrepreneurs, leaders, business owners, they have to put up this strong front outright. But then deep within that self worth, that doesn't exist. There's always the self doubt. We'll take decisions, but in the end, we'll be questioning ourselves. There are things which goes down, we will stand bold and say it's the team effort. But if things go down, we'll be the first to stand up and say it's our fault. And we will just not say it. We'll actually believe it ourselves. So that self doubt takes so much deep root into us. And it's okay if it's the last thing we talk today, but I think this is the most important thing which we see in leaders. I saw it in me because I believed I was so confident. But when the thing progressed, the coaching progressed, I saw the deep down self doubt, which was so strong, right? And you know how difficult it was for you to, with session after session, to bring me to the point of self-worth. And even today it's work in progress. I have no shame in saying that, right? But many leaders out there fear saying that. So please double click on that. Very valuable conversation it would be for everyone who's listening, especially business leaders.
Yeah, I think for an entrepreneur, particularly a solo entrepreneur like you, or even somebody who's running a larger enterprise, right? Accepting that they are weak is seen as a sign of weakness. And
Absolutely.
how can I, I'm the leader. How can I say that no, I'm not happy, or I'm feeling down, or I'm feeling lack of confidence, or whatever it is, right? So you end up putting up a facade. You end up putting up a show, right? You want to show the external world that no, everything is in control, when
Absolutely.
internally you are bleeding, right? And but you cannot show that. So I think more often than not, it becomes a facade, like that people are putting up a face to the external world, the alpha face that you talked about, or no, whatever face you talk about. That look, yeah, things are difficult, but no, I've got it all under control, right? When
Fake
in
it
your
till you
heart,
make
in your heart, it's not under control,
No,
right?
no, fake it till you make it. The
Yeah,
very
it's
famous
basically that.
quote,
It's
right?
basically that. It's basically that. So I think a lot of the insecurity comes from self-doubt. Right? Insecurities you're facing yourself, or about your business, or about the fact that what you've gotten to is not working the way you wanted it, but you had to put up a show that everything is going good. You have to make your investors or make your other network partners believe that everything is under control, and
Including
you're doing
team,
it. Sorry,
including
to the
team.
team, yeah, that you're doing a great job, everything is okay. But it just requires a mentor or a coach to come in to remove that mask,
Yeah.
and say, look, you're fooling yourself by doing this, right? Get real,
Yeah.
start acknowledging the fact that it's okay to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
acknowledge the fact that it's okay to be weak, right? We're all individuals, so we don't have to be, perfect all the time. Being an entrepreneur is a lonely journey. I keep talking about it's a struggle, and acknowledging the fact that everything is not good, and there are clear gaps in the way I'm running my business, or the way I'm running my network activities, that is not good for me, right? But I'm still doing it. So I think mindset is also about having the strength to acknowledge that I am not strong in all departments.
Absolutely.
So I think a strong mind will acknowledge and accept that, and do something about it. A weak mind will cover it up.
Correct.
So I think that's where mindset comes in. Mindset comes in terms of that a secure mind is okay to accept and admit that things are not so great. An insecure mind will try to compensate that by getting over aggressive, over assertive. That insecurity will play out with the team. It will play out with the all the stakeholders that you want deal with, right?
Yeah.
That look, oh, I don't trust this person. I don't trust that person. The problem is not with the other person. The problem is the
Within you.
with you internally, right? So I think in both coaching and in mentoring, I think, quite often you're shown the mirror, right? Before blaming somebody else, look in the mirror
Correct.
and see, are you being honest with yourself? So I think that is mindset, the mindset of acknowledging that, look, I am not perfect. I am human. There are a lot of things I'm doing very well. There are a lot of things I'm not doing well. Let me acknowledge that and do something about it. And so I find that, whenever an entrepreneur finally seeks a mentor or a coach, uh, it is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. A sign of strength. I think you did that, right? You came and spoke to me saying that I would like to be coached by you. It was not a sign of weakness, a sign that because you realized that I think I need it now, right? So the entrepreneurs in the last 15 years that I've mentored and coached have absolutely zero regrets about their decision, because they realized that they needed this extra person to make them think, make them reflect, make them more aware, challenge them, call a spade a spade, call a lie, and actually make them acknowledge that, look, I need to change. Right? And it's not something which is not possible to change, very possible to change. I just need to step back and decide, okay, these are the 3 or 4 areas where I need to fine tune my approach, and with all the other strengths which I have, I'll do a great job. I think mindset is about saying it's okay to be weak, it's okay to be vulnerable, accept it, don't don't deny it.
Perfect. Just last 2 minutes, and I want you to do this in a bullet point approach. How do we train our mindset? Just 2-3 points in bullet points. How can we put
train our
routines to train our minds?
As somebody who's been meditating for the last 47 years, I think meditation is a great way of calming the mind and training the mind to look at things in a more balanced way. If not meditation, have a mentor or a coach who can challenge you, right? Or have another sounding board who is unbiased and will tell you things straight in the face. What's good, what's not good.
Perfect. So with that, the closing line is this: we all keep running behind milestones. I think change your mindset, the milestones will follow. That's my motto, thanks to this coaching journey that I've had. So thank you so much once again for viewing this. And I know the CK would never tell you this, but I will, as a guest on his channel, subscribe to this channel or share it with your friends. Thank you so very much.